What's going on, Houston Rockets fans and NBA fans? My name's David Delano. This is Rockets Daily, brought to you by FanArch. And today, as we get ready to begin, we in the month of November, and we get ready to get into December here. Mid-December, there's going to be a lot of guys in the NBA when there's guys with their contracts there's guys who can't be traded until mid-December. A lot of moves, January, definitely in February, where you're going to see a lot of movements, even buyouts. You'll start to see guys who, veterans on some bad teams that want a chance to win, teams that, some teams thinking about the lottery, some teams thinking about that extra push. So, hopefully I give you guys a lot to comment about here. You guys make the show go. Trade rumors, trade scenarios, things like that. I want to see them in the comments. If you got some good ones or bad ones, what the hell, just throw it out there. But this is Rockets Daily, brought to you by FanArch. Before we get started, I definitely would appreciate it if you just hit that subscribe button. And as we talk about the state of your Houston Rockets right now, as of after the win against the Golden State Warriors, 12-4, a lot to be excited about, a lot to feel good about. Already a lot of guys out at different times this year. A lot of guys stepping up, but fourth in the Western Conference record-wise. Tough West, and couple of the losses to the teams, probably the two teams on paper before the season we're most concerned about, being the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. So obviously, the future is very, very bright. I think with a core with Şengün and Amin Thompson, what we're seeing from Reed Shepard stepping up, Jabari Smith Jr. We'll see what happens with Tari Eason's contract. But when you look at this core, this looks like a team that could compete for a championship for the long time. But, you brought in Kevin Durant to be the closer. And you got this year, next year with Kevin Durant. We'll see what happens. Still one of the top scorers in the NBA. But as bright as this future is, you're also thinking about win now. So we're going to look at some of the different players in the NBA, some potential guys who are on the trade rumor mill. You don't want to trade, your whole future away, but the Rockets do have quite a few first-round draft picks that can be used in deals. And potentially, even a better thing is guys, buying out, finding ways to create some cap space, potential guys that we could add in buyouts, and some of the complexities of that. We're going to put out some hypothetical options, how that all plays out, we'll see. But let's go ahead and get into that first of all, and I want to go ahead and start with the guards. So obviously, a lot of guys really, when it comes to at the top of the list, the top three names that you're going to hear, I don't think that the Rockets are really in contention for them when you look at the chemistry of this team, how much money these guys make, and what you'd potentially have to give up for them. But obviously, there's really two here, top two as far as how soon they'll be traded. Maybe with the urgency, number one's going to be Trae Young, who could end up leaving after this season. But, Atlanta Hawks look like they, especially in the Eastern Conference, could be looking to make a run this season potentially. And then Ja Morant, who we've talked about a lot. There's some episodes. You could go back a couple weeks with Ja Morant. I don't think that he's a fit in Houston, even though, a lot of reports and things, they had him as one of the top, Houston is one of the top 3 to 7 destinations. But I don't think that Ja Morant is going to end up in Houston. For so many different reasons. LaMelo Ball, someone who gets talked about, but LaMelo Ball, they really, the Hornets have kind of control through 2028 with him. And the way, LaMelo, he hasn't really been played meaningful minutes in a meaningful season yet with the Hornets, and he always gets hurt. Very talented, exciting, but always, always getting hurt. You got DeJounte Murray, a lot of money owed there by the New Orleans Pelicans. So some of the more, let's say, first of all, maybe realistic options. Do you want these guys or not? And really the way that Aaron Holiday's been playing, the way Reed Shepard's been playing, kind of got to wonder if these options are better than what you have. C.J. McCollum is obviously, this was a guy who, talk about in the offseason, I think he's going to get bought out by the New Orleans Pelicans. A little bit up there now in age, defense not necessarily up to the standard that we want. So, but C.J. McCollum's a guy I think that's going to end up getting bought out probably sometime January, February, and be able to sign with any team because this Washington Wizards team's horrendous. There's really no point in him. There's really no point in him being there. One guy that's interesting to me doesn't get talked about a whole lot. An Orlando Magic team, they're contending is Jet Howard, who's still only 22 years old. A lottery pick just in 2023. One of the sons of Juwan Howard, a 6'8" guard, shooting solid from 3-pointers, but not really been kind of left out of the rotation, and seems at the moment to be out of the long-term plans of the Orlando Magic, the way that they're moving right now. Is he someone that you could potentially get in a buy low trade? Like I said, just 22 years old. Still a lot of work to do on the defensive end, but someone not talked about too much that definitely has some potential. Cam Thomas, could he really get bought out for the cheap? Putting up numbers with the Brooklyn Nets, but a guy potentially that you could see as young as he is. Brooklyn didn't work out that deal with him in the offseason. What could happen with him? As far as the 76ers go, they're pretty interesting. Quentin Grimes, a guy that is kind of on the wish list. I don't think that that's going to happen, though, what we've seen him doing. And another guy now out for a couple weeks, even though, forward, a little bit more of a forward, but forward and guard, Kelly Oubre Jr., played at Bush High School before transferring over to that prep academy. I believe it was Finley Prep his last year. But out in Missouri City, so that will be a nice homecoming. How well does Kelly Oubre Jr. fit in with the Rockets? If you could get him on a buyout, that'd be great. But seeing what the 76ers are doing this season with their success, Oubre still averaging 16 points a game before the injury. They want to make some room for VJ Edgecombe, but he's definitely a guy that you could trade. They're not going to want to, if they get rid of him at all this season, not really a guy that would make a lot of sense for the 76ers to let just get away for nothing. Depending what the Boston Celtics decide to do, Anthony Simmons, that salary is really up there. But basically could be a free agent after this season. Boston Celtics been trying to obviously save some cap space. Could be interesting. How does he fit with the Rockets at guard? But shooting over 40% from three, although 3-point shooting hasn't been an issue with the Rockets. Colin Sexton, another interesting option. I think before what we've seen from Aaron Holiday and Reed Shepherd could have been an option there. Just some of the, as far as a potential, buyout option. Those are some of the, Jay Ivey has dealt with injuries, and obviously with the Pistons being up, I don't think that that's a realistic situation. So those are just some of the different potential guard options as we're, kind of throwing that out here with these trade and buyout rumors. Anybody that you're thinking with the guard, anybody you're thinking about at guards, do you really think that this team still needs to bring in another guard? How's this going to hold up right now? Reed Shepherd and Aaron Holiday have been holding it down. And if we bring in a guard, who gets moved? Where does the salary cap space, where does it happen? Who do we cut ties with? That is definitely something to consider. Obviously, I think C.J. McCollum's one of those guys that if you, at some point, if you wanted to get him for the minimum, create a little bit of space, it's definitely out there. Also, the Sacramento Kings team has been so bad. You got to think everybody at some point there could potentially be available from like Zach LaVine and Russell Westbrook. We talked about LaVine in the offseason. Obviously, man, LaVine's a guy very, very talented, but things haven't really equated to wins no matter where he's gone. And Russell Westbrook, you never know. With the Sacramento Kings, I feel like anybody could potentially be on the table, the way that they make decisions and the way that they really have a veteran team with a lot of core players on by name. If DeRozan, LaVine, Sabonis right now out for a couple weeks at least. Westbrook, they got all the veterans that makes it seem like they're trying to win now, but they're not. So that is a team that's going to have to make some decisions. We're going to go to some forwards here. Maybe, with the guard play, some options could be there at forward. Who are the guys that, really free agent options after this year who could be, buyouts? Obviously, Chris Middleton is going to be, I think, a buyout at some point with the Washington Wizards. How much left does Chris Middleton really have in the tank? And you got a guy like Jeff Green. You got Jashawn Tate. I mean, does bringing in Chris Middleton really make a lot of sense based off of what he has left? Tobias Harris, he's with the Pistons. They got the best record in the East. I don't think that they're going to make a move there. Kelly Olynyk, with him being with the Spurs, not so sure that that's something that they would want to, help the Rockets out with. Kelly Oubre Jr., of course, mentioned. George Niang, who played for the Cavs last year before being traded to the Hawks. Now he's with the Jazz. He's been hurt the entire season so far. Could actually be a buyout option that would fit in on this team, but he's got to get healthy. He's definitely got to go ahead and get healthy first. Let's see. Those are some of the options as far as guys who could potentially really be bought out. Kyle Kuzma, I don't think that that's really what the Rockets are looking for. Jonathan Kuminga, I don't think he's going to get traded. And if he does get traded, no way he gets traded to the Houston Rockets. We talk about potential trade rumors. Obviously, the Giannis thing has been going on forever. We've talked about that. I don't want to beat a dead horse with that. I don't think that that's going to be a realistic situation for the Rockets and the way things are going. I don't think the Bucks are going to part ways with Giannis this season. Lauri Markkanen. Utah's losing, but they are building something there. They're exciting. They're scoring a lot of points. For what it is, they got a white superstar in Utah that's putting up buckets. I mean, I don't know if that's really something that the Utah Jazz want to move on from. And obviously, I mean, this is a guy, future allocations of over $185 million through 2028. So I don't necessarily see that happening. Andrew Wiggins, a guy out there with the Miami Heat. You never know. But those are just some different options at forward. Some guys who potential trade pieces out there. Dalton Connect, not off to a hot start for the Lakers, not playing as much on that team, but I don't think that. I think that the Lakers could possibly trade Dalton Connect. They already did it before with Mark Williams failed that physical. They tried to trade him to the Charlotte Hornets last season, but that trade obviously did not go through. But obviously, if the Lakers do that, they're looking to win now. Rockets and Lakers are competing so much. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense on the surface. Now, as deep as we are at the center position, there are a couple interesting names there that could potentially be added. Now, the Chicago Bulls got off to a good start, like with 5-0, 5-1, and now they're 9-8, and already after 17 games, ninth in the East. They look like they're going to be in that 8-11 range, fighting for a playoff position again or play-in position. So what is going on with the Chicago Bulls there? And Nikola Vujovic, a guy over there, he is. Vucevic, he's a guy, free agent after this year, very, very popular buyout option, now 35 years old. I know we're deep at the center position, love Steven Adams, Clint Capella's you definitely stepped up against the Warriors, but man, if you could get this guy out there on the floor with Şengün and coming off the bench for Şengün, guy still averaging 16.7 points per game, 9.6 rebounds. Man's really just been so efficient for so long. Over 17 points per game for his career and 10.4 rebounds. Like I said, now at 35 years of age. Definitely would fit in with this Rockets. We know what to do with multiple big men on the court. That bully ball. This would be a little bit of if the Bulls did buy him out, I'm thinking it probably going to more so, even though it would be a short-term rental, try to trade him for somebody. But the way a lot of teams play, how many teams are really going to be in the market for a center like this? And are the Bulls just going to hold on for one more year, let him leave? He definitely would be a nice addition for the Houston Rockets. You look at some other guys here, Robert Williams III with the with the Portland Trailblazers. Kevin Love, he's not playing too much. I don't really see Kevin Love fitting in on this Rockets team. He is somebody who might get bought out if a team thinks he has something left in the tank. But Kevin Love right now, going into 2026, an option out there, but not someone that I really see having a lot of value for the Houston Rockets. As far as another guy here really worth mentioning, Yusuf Nurkic for the Utah Jazz. Obviously been around for a while, 6'11". 9.6 rebounds per game right now, 13th in the NBA. Not a strong three-point shooter, 31 years old. As far as how would he really fit in with the Rockets right now, depends what you get for him. I think that you would have to trade for him if Utah buys him out. I'm not sure that the Rockets are really the best fit for him. Is he better than Clint Capella? As far as the fact that the Rockets have Şengün and Steven Adams, I'm not sure if Nurkic is really the guy to bring in. As far as with Vucevic, obviously, that's a little bit of a dream scenario if you could put him out there along with Şengün as far as what he can do offensively as well. So dropped a few names here. Let me know what you guys think. Any other ones? I know that we talk about LaMelo Ball and Trae Young and John Morant. It's always a little bit of hot topics. Milwaukee Bucks are fading. But I think Giannis, obviously, for the Rockets, we're looking more at some buyout options. And I think the biggest question to come out of all of this, should we make any moves at all? Because when you look at how this team is going, and you look at some of the options that seem a little more realistic, buy low options, are C.J. McCollum, Chris Middleton guys that you really want? Is Kelly Oubre Jr. realistic? Is Colin Sexton really the type of fit that you want here? Bogdan Bogdanovic, that's probably not gonna happen. There's a few different guys out there, man. So let me know. Anybody else that you've got out there, if you think the Rockets should make a move, what position do you think is the biggest need? I think Jet Howard could be a sneaky. I don't know all the logistics after with as far as with the salary cap. I think Cam Thomas is going to be interesting play for somebody in the NBA. I definitely think he's going to get moved, and we could see what happens with the motivated Cam Thomas right now, pretty much in that graveyard with the Brooklyn Nets. And Jet Howard, I think he's a guy at 22 years old, a lot of potential still as a 6'8" guard with the Orlando Magic. So just some names to think about there. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching another episode of Rockets Daily. Rockets will be back in action soon on Sunday against the Utah Jazz. God bless. Let's have a great day.